98 FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
And good morning from Adrian Kennedy. I hope everything is okay with you today. This Thursday, the 29th day of October 2020. Now, the story in all of the newspapers, on all of the news bulletins over the last 24 hours has been that horrible, shocking story of a young mother and her two children who it appears were murdered in their beds at their South Dublin home at Llewellyn Court in Ballantyre. I want to find out the latest on this whole story, and 98 FM's Andrew Louth joins us from our Dundrum Town Centre studio. Andrew, good morning to you.
Good morning, Adrian.
The whole area, the whole estate and the whole area of Ballantyre, and in fact the greater Dublin area, is really shocked by this story. What do we know so far, Andrew?
Well, what we know so far is that yesterday, just before midday, Gardaí received a call from some concerned neighbours who had not seen a woman and her two children in quite some time. And it later transpired that neighbours became concerned because they hadn't seen the two kids out playing in the back garden or on the rare occasion out in the front of the house. And when Gardaí received this call, they came to Llewellyn Court, and from there they forced their way into the home where they made that discovery of the three bodies: a woman aged 37 and her two children, an 11-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy. Immediately they launched an investigation, and the Garda Forensic Unit were called out to the scene shortly after 3 o'clock, and they stayed there for quite some time to carry out a technical examination. And they were also looking to speak with a man who was known to the family to see if he had any information. It's my understanding that they have spoken to that man in the last 24 hours or so, and post-mortem exams are being carried out today on the bodies, and that will determine the course of their investigation. But it's also understood that while they are treating the deaths as unexplained at the moment, they have deployed the full resources of a murder inquiry.
Now, last night, the community at Llewellyn Court staged a vigil. You were actually at the vigil last night. Describe to me, Andrew, the scene and the mood at that vigil.
Well, it was one of complete shock, as I'm sure you can imagine, Adrian. We're only a matter of days after hearing and reading about the events down in Kanturk in Cork, and all of a sudden this community in the Llewellyn estate and in the Ballantyre, Rathfarnham areas found this situation right on their doorstep, where the bodies of a mother and her two children were found in a house, and they were completely shocked. One resident said that he was absolutely stunned. He had been living in the area for 40 years and he had never come across anything like this before. Speaking to most of the residents, a lot of them were just really lost for words. They're trying to put their feelings into words, and it just, for the most part, it wasn't coming out, as I'm sure you would understand, Adrian, having to see something like this.
Because this is a mature, well-settled housing estate, and this would be completely out of left field for something like this to happen.
Absolutely, and even in the housing estate you had some older people there, but the first thing I noticed when I arrived at the scene yesterday was a lot of children, a lot of young families as well in this estate. So it's a very kind of mixed area in terms of young families starting their lives, and then older people who had been living there for some time and together, it was a very close-knit community from what I could tell, because there was a lot of people there. It was into the hundreds, I would say, that turned out to this, and residents were telling me that they hadn't done anything as a community in the last number of months. Again, as you would expect with COVID-19, and they were kind of trying to look out for one another and to look out for themselves and their own families. But they said that this was really the first time that they were able to come together as a community, and they also seemed to express some sort of regret that it had to be in these circumstances.
Absolutely. All right, so as regards the investigation, it isn't formally a murder investigation at this moment, pending the post-mortems on the 3 bodies, but it certainly looks like that's the way this is headed.
Absolutely. When we were talking to Gardaí yesterday at the scene, they wouldn't rule out any foul play, and certainly now in the last 24 hours it's come to our understanding that although the deaths do remain unexplained, they are putting the resources in place to carry out a murder inquiry. So certainly that's definitely the direction that it looks like we're going.
This particular family, I understand that they were living in this house for about a year. Were they well known? I know the kids went to a local Educate Together school. Were they well known in the area?
Not particularly, no. They had become to know some of their neighbours, so some of their closest neighbours, just through passing. But certainly a lot of the residents in the wider estate. It is a big estate, Llewellyn, as many people would know. And many of them didn't seem to know them. They said that they kept themselves to themselves and they were quite a private family. But some of the near neighbours had gotten to know them slowly over the last couple of months as they were seen leaving in and out of the house.
All right, so what are we expecting today? Are we expecting this particular individual that Gardaí have made contact with, are we expecting him to be interviewed formally today?
Well, there was no suggestion of that from what I was able to gather, but these kind of things are changing all the time. It ultimately depends what kind of conversation Gardaí had with this individual and what information that he was able to supply to them. So really, it's one of those, I'd say we won't really know more until the post-mortem examinations have been completed on all 3 of the bodies.
All right, and you'll be on that story for the day and reporting right here at 98 FM throughout the day in our news bulletins. 98 FM's Andrew Louth in our Dundrum Town Centre studio. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us.
Thanks, Adrian.
There you go. And it, as Andrew said, this comes on the back of that horrible incident in Kanturk in County Cork. The other tragedy of the woman at the M50 bridge the other day. It's really, really shocking. Shocking, really is. And if I can just ask you, for those of you, and this applies not just to ordinary everyday people, this applies to politicians as well. If you are commenting on this, please be sensitive. I've seen some really horrible stuff online over the last 24 hours of people speculating about what happened, people naming people, all of that. It's so unnecessary. Just let the guards do what they do, let them investigate it, and don't speculate as to what has happened, why it has happened. Just leave the Gardaí to do their job. And they will do their job in this particular case. Anyway, there you go. This is 98 FM.
The sound of the city, from Sallynoggin to Swords. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Now, next on the programme, are you someone who is living and working abroad but still has family here in Ireland? If so, were you planning on coming home to your family for Christmas? Similarly, are you someone who has a son or a daughter or a family member who lives in another country? What arrangements are being put in place for this Christmas? Are they flying home? Is it appropriate to be flying home during a pandemic? Well, last year, I was shocked by this figure, really. Last year, seems like a lifetime ago, but well over 1 million passengers flew through Dublin Airport for Christmas. Flying home for Christmas is the big thing every year. Many of us have had that occasion to be collecting a loved one from Dublin Airport as they join us for the Christmas festivities from all over the world. Dublin Airport has said this week that they hope to have pre-departure testing in place which will get loved ones home for Christmas. But this is a debate that is happening in many families at the moment. Whether or not it's kind of selfish to even think about coming home, especially from places in Europe where COVID cases have been sky high, like, for example, the UK or France or Spain. Well, this topic was brought to our attention by a guy called Gary. He's a Dublin man from Coolock, living and working in Dublin. Here's what Gary says. Lads, I don't know if you've covered this yet, but I'd love to hear views. I listen to your show every morning from London, where I moved to 4 years ago. I'm originally from Coolock. Every Christmas I come home for 10 days to my parents, but this year I don't know what to do. I haven't booked any flights yet. My parents, who are both elderly, want me to come home, but several other family members have said it is not safe and I should stay put rather than risk bringing anything home and giving a Christmas present of COVID-19 to my parents. I've even been called selfish. I don't know what plans other people are making because I have to make a decision in the next week to book a flight. And that is from a guy called Gary. And it isn't a conversation that we've had. We mentioned this online earlier on, and we got this WhatsApp voice note from one of our listeners who happens to listen to us in Australia. Have a listen to this.
Hi lads, love the show. Listen to every podcast you have on every night. I just wanted to say that I'm supposed to be flying home at Christmas for my first Christmas with my family in 11 years with my new baby that was born in the height of lockdown over here in Australia at the end of April. He'll be 6 months old now tomorrow, and he hasn't met any family. It's only been my husband and I over here doing everything on our own. You know, they say it takes a village to raise a child, and it's very obvious that now that we really need that village, because it's just him and I doing everything. But I think what COVID has taught us is that our families are so important now to each other, and we really need each other in our lives, even though we do drive each other mental most of the time. But I think we'll all take away a different appreciation for each other after all this is over.
All right, now that's from a lady called Rainey, and she is in Australia. The plan was to come home for Christmas, but that's not going to be happening from Australia anyhow. But we want to find out, what are your plans? If you're listening to us abroad, you can send us a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Obviously, if you're dialing from abroad, you use 353 and all of that. But send us a WhatsApp voice note to that number, 353 877 98 98 98. And let us know what you are planning and how you are feeling about the prospect of actually not coming home this year, like you probably do every other year. 0877 98 98 98 is our WhatsApp number. And Trevor actually is listening to us also in Australia. Trevor, good morning or good evening to you, whatever time it is there.
Good evening, Adrian. How are you?
Good, thank you, Trevor. What part of Australia are you living in?
I'm in glorious Melbourne, which I would expect has been front page news for a number of months.
It has been, because you've been in lockdown over the last couple of months and only kind of emerging from it now.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been in lockdown level 4 for, over 100 days. And we just yesterday, things started to brighten up for us. There's still restrictions in place, but we're starting to come out of it now. But it's certainly been a crazy time if we look back to March and the ups and downs that we've all had to get to this point.
Now we're discussing our level 5 restrictions here in Ireland, which will last, we're told, until the 1st of December. You've been in quite a severe lockdown for a lot longer than that.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, when it happened, it was quite surreal. It sort of felt like we were in an episode of Black Mirror or Twilight Zone or something like that. You know, we were told that we had to stay in at night between the hours of 8 and 5. There was a curfew. There was a 5K perimeter restriction in terms of us leaving our home. And we could only leave our home for one of 4 reasons. And 2 of those were medical. One was for groceries, and the other was for an hour a day for exercise. So it happened real quick. It happened really, really fast. And it was very, very surreal. And I think, as we all started to get into that, and as I was walking the dog as I did each day, I'd look at people coming towards me, and some would be, masks are mandatory here and have been for many months. And I'd look at people coming towards me, and some would have masks on and others would have them hanging off, drinking coffee. And I think, did I miss something in the news? That coffee is the new antidote to COVID. So it's been quite frustrating, and nobody ever wants to be that guy that sort of says, hey, put your mask on. But there's been times where I've had to sort of bite my tongue and think about it. The restrictions, I think they were quite harsh. I think there was a number of things that could have gone different, but everyone's got an opinion. We had to do what we had to do to get to this point. I just hope that as a country now, we can go the next step and start to open up the borders. As it stands, state borders are closed and international borders are closed. They've been closed since March. So I can't leave. Even if I wanted to, I can't leave. If something happens to my mum or my dad, whatever it might be, for me to get back to Dublin would be an absolute nightmare. And even if I could get a flight out, if I got dispensation from the government to take a trip, the ability to get back here it's really difficult. And secondary, when I do get back, I have mandatory 2 weeks quarantine in a hotel at my expense, which I don't mind the expense. I just mind the fact that as a mature adult, the government determined that I can't self-quarantine, that I can't be trusted. So there's definitely a lot of mixed emotions.
But having said all of that, Trevor, it is for very strict reasons like that Australia has gotten back on top of this again, has gotten its case numbers down to practically zero because they're not letting people into the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think whilst it's, we can look at it as an inconvenience, I'm one of the lucky ones. I've got a good job, I've got a place to live, I've got people around me. So, at the end of the day, it could have been a lot worse. There's a lot of people out there that are doing it really, really tough. And we're hoping things will change soon. We don't like to look back on the last 3 or 4 months and think it was for nothing. So we hope that people have got the message and that we move forward. But there's no doubt, as a developed country, Australia seems to have had some of the most extreme measures to get to where we are.
Absolutely. And like I said, when people are complaining here about our level 5 restrictions, which are nothing as severe as what you've gone through over the last 100 plus days, we need to kind of look on the bright side that things could be an awful lot worse. Now, as regards coming home, Trevor, you said it's just not going to be possible. Would you have planned to come home this year?
Yeah, I would have actually. It's been a while. It's been over 4 years since I've been back, so it would have been nice to go back and see some of the friends and family and stuff like that, and just sort of dip my toe in the water as I often do. So I would have for sure. So that's going to that'll happen next year hopefully. Although Australia are saying that international travel for recreational purposes won't happen again until 2022. So we've got a tough year ahead.
Absolutely, definitely a tough year ahead. Your mum is here. Whereabouts does she live?
Mum lives in Shankill.
In Shankill, all right, very good. And she is in her 80s and obviously would dearly love to see her little boy.
Oh, she would. She'd love to see me after 5 or 10 minutes. Then she'd be given out. But so that's the way she is.
Like all mammies.
No, she's absolutely. She's doing well if she's moaning about something.
That's very good. All right. Well, I'm sorry for your troubles, as they say, that you won't get to come home this year. You're in the same boat, unfortunately, as an awful lot of people, even people much closer to home in the UK or in Europe. Trevor, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. Appreciate it. I'd like to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text, you can WhatsApp, or you can send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98, like Tom just did.
This is for Gary. Gary, I really sympathise with you. I'm sure you'd love to see your parents on Christmas. But God forbid, if something happened to your parents because of COVID, you will have to live with it for the rest of your life. Relax, you'll see him soon.
All right, Tom, thank you. If you've just joined us, this is the message that we're talking about from a guy called Gary. And Gary listens to us in London, where he's lived for the last 4 years, originally from Coolock. And he says, every Christmas I come home for 10 days to my parents, but this year I don't know what to do. I haven't booked the flights yet. My parents, who are both elderly, want me to come home, but several other family members have said it's not safe and I should stay put rather than risk bringing anything home and giving Christmas 2020 a miss. I've even been called selfish for contemplating it. I'd love to know what plans other people are having, because I have to make a decision in the next week whether or not to book flights. And that's what we're talking about. And we'll take a quick break. We'll take more of your calls straight after that.
The sound of the city, from Donamead to Drimna. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
And we're here until midday today. A lot of reaction coming into what we're talking about. This is Emer.
Hey guys, it's Emer here in Poland. I'll be walking home for Christmas if I have to. I'm not missing it. If you're quarantining, you're taking all the precautions. I don't see what the issue is.
All right. Emer's in Poland and is definitely coming home for Christmas. And that's what we're asking. Gary, who sent me the message in the first place, has had some family members say he's being selfish for even thinking of coming home to his parents in Coolock this Christmas. If you're listening to us anywhere around the world and you're Irish and you would like to come home for Christmas, let us know what you're doing. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Obviously from abroad, and I'm sure you well know, you put a 353 and all that in front of it. Tara is in Boston 3 years now. Tara, how are you?
Hey, Adrian, I'm well. How are you?
Good, thanks, Tara. How are you?
I'm a little bit tired. It's early here, but I'm up with the baby. And,
right.
And you know, we would love for our new baby that we had in July to meet his Irish family. But unfortunately, it's just not in the cards this year for his safety and for my in-laws' safety and all my brother-in-laws and nieces and nephews and all. It's just not worth it. We can wait. We love him enough to wait.
So when did you have the baby?
We had the baby in July at the height of quarantine. I was in labor for 24 hours with a mask on and all these precautions. And I hope that by taking these steps, we can all be kind of kind to everyone else and, get this over quicker so that nobody has to do that.
Okay, so the family obviously have seen the baby online and whatever, but haven't met the baby. Right. It would obviously mean an awful lot to you, and I'm sure that was part of your plan when you've found out you were pregnant first, was to eventually come home and say hello.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Get him christened over there, the whole lot.
But unfortunately, it's not going to be able to be possible this year. You're not prepared to take the risk, basically.
No, absolutely not. For the baby's sake, and my in-laws are, in their 60s, and they have pre-existing conditions. It just wouldn't be worth it to do it. And, you see all the people in the comments here saying, oh, the tourists are coming over and they're letting in these people. But it's not about that. You have to make the sacrifices. We're never going to get out of this if you don't. And as much as we miss them, we want to be able to see them next year, and we couldn't live with ourselves if we were to bring COVID to their doorstep.
Absolutely, yeah. So very disappointing, but obviously you'd like to think you'll be able to come over next year at some stage. What is life like in Boston at the moment? Is it life as normal, or is it a little bit different?
Oh, so we've been keeping quarantine and very strict with masking and social distancing. I haven't even seen my brothers since the start of all this, but it's pretty bad. We're going into our big second wave. Just a ton of Trump COVIDiots, as some of us like to call them, that won't wear the mask, won't socially distance. And for us and for our family, it matters for us to be safe. So we do it. But yeah, it's kind of madness over here with everything going on with COVID and how the media is handling it. It's a bit scary.
It is a very different world to the world we live in over here, certainly from what I've looked at. All right, Tara, I'm sorry for you that you won't get home with the baby this year, but hopefully by next Christmas we'll be in a position that you can come home for Christmas. Good
Absolutely,
to talk to you.
And hello to everyone in Dalik. We love you and we miss you, and we'll see you when this is all said and done.
Absolutely. All right, good to talk to you, Tara. Thanks very much indeed. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note from Louise, who lives and works in London, but is yet to decide what to do.
Hi, Adrian. I'm in the same boat as that lad from Coolock. I'm over in London and I still don't know whether I'm going to come home for Christmas. I usually do. I probably won't. I don't think it's selfish, though. It's awful to call somebody selfish for wanting to go home and see their family at Christmas. Selfish are the people who are not wearing masks when they go out in public in Dublin. Selfish are the people having house parties and the people who are going to protests in the city. That's selfish. To go home and see his elderly parents at Christmas is not selfish.
You see, the argument is, and the reason some people have called him selfish is he could bring home that virus from London, basically. That's what people are saying. Billy thinks people should come home.
Just to counter Tom there, God forbid something happens anyways and he doesn't get to see them. So to me, that's worse. This whole you're going to carry COVID over. Why would that be more special COVID than a COVID that's already here? No, go see your families. Who knows? It might be the last time.
All right, let me go to Stuart. Stuart, your 6-year-old daughter is in France. You'd usually see her every couple of months, but not now.
Yeah, morning, Adrian.
How are you?
Yeah, my ex-partner's French and my daughter's French, and I lived there for a few years, and I would go over probably every 7 or 8 weeks for maybe 3-4 days, fly out on a Wednesday to a Saturday or a Sunday, and then during the summer then she'd come over for a week every month, like from May, June, July, August type of thing. But this year I've seen her once. I left on the 2nd of January because I went over for Christmas, and I ended up biting the bullet and going over in September because I missed her so much. It was heartbreaking. And I done the isolation over there. I had a place to stay. I done the isolation when I came back, but when I was leaving Port, they were testing people who were leaving the airport.
Mm-hmm. I
left on a Saturday and I got my results on the Tuesday morning, negative, but I still stayed away,
Good man.
This is one of these things, Adrian, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. It's like, as grown-ups, we should know better. And I did see my parents for 6-7 weeks during the first lockdown because, like that, tried to do the right thing. Now we're back in that position again. It's just hard. Like, I'm listening to these people wanting to go see their parents, and it's heartbreaking. But for me, I'm viewing it differently because my daughter, she's 6. She doesn't know any better. I'm video calling her, voice calling her every night, and she's saying, Papa, please, when can I see you? Can I come over?
Oh, God love her.
And you're trying to explain. I'm even getting emotional thinking about it because she doesn't know any different. She knows about the COVID. Her mother's explained it to her, but that's like, it's like Chinese writing to her. She doesn't know. And she's telling us why she can't see her nanny and granddad, why she can't see her cousins, why I can't come over. So I was looking at flights to go for Christmas. Now there's no flight available. There's probably a blessing in the skies, but for me, I'm looking at my view differently to everybody else's. She's a 6-year-old girl.
I know, and I completely get that. That's awful. Yeah. And you were in a situation, even though she lives in a different country, you were seeing her very regularly.
Yeah.
And that's been taken away from you, bar one visit in September.
Yeah, that's right. And then in the midst of all this, I've lost my job because of the COVID. My girlfriend in her work got tested positive. Her mother has underlying problems and conditions. She had to come stay with me, so we had to isolate together. Then I had to tell the people I live with. So it's been an awful few months, it has. But it brings it back to one of them situations. We're relying, as human beings, we're relying on other human beings to do the right thing. And everyone's opinion is different. So is there really a right answer for all this? That's where I'm at the moment with it.
Okay, so as regards visiting her at Christmas, are you thinking about it, or?
Yeah. If I can get a flight, I've checked.
What part of France does she live? In Bordeaux.
Bordeaux.
Right.
Now, the only, I'm probably justifying it a little bit here, but they live in the countryside. where it's not as bad. There's not many COVID tested positive. Do you know that type of way? Because you're in the countryside of France where you need a car to travel everywhere and anywhere, even to get a bit of bread. So it's not as bad. But like that, if I do get a flight, I will be going.
And are there any flights?
At the moment, no.
Right.
Up to last week, I checked Ryanair, and there's no available flights.
And that's the only way to get there is with Ryanair, is it?
Yeah, with Ryanair or Aer Lingus, but Aer Lingus haven't had a flight in months and months. I flew with Ryanair in September.
Well, that's very difficult for you, I have to say. My heart goes out to you. And, you know, not being, and trying to explain to a 6-year-old why Daddy can't come and visit her.
And doing Santa has to come, you know, and you're doing all that type of stuff as well. I haven't missed the Christmas with her. Doing the whole Santa's come and all that type of stuff.
And have you prepared yourself kind of mentally for the prospect that you might not see her?
Yeah, I have. I was on to Santi, and Santi has everything sorted.
Ah, well then that's the main thing. As long as that's
the main thing.
That is the main thing.
I've mentally prepared myself, but at the same time, if a flight does come along, I'm going to jump on it.
All right, but look, short. That's it's awful to hear that. Due to all of this, you can't see your 6-year-old.
And I know there's people like me around the world.
Absolutely.
You know, and the way I'm looking at it is that lad from Coolock that's living in London and all, my heart breaking. You're walking away, people get homesick. It doesn't matter how long you're away for. You get homesick, you want to come home, you have your routine of coming home. But as grown-ups, seeing another grown-up, I'm saying, well, you should be all right, leave it till January or February. But when seeing a kid, it's differently. But who am I to say someone shouldn't travel?
All right, I've just gotten this.
All we can do is just wear our masks, wash our hands, and do the best we can.
Absolutely. I've just gotten this WhatsApp voice note that I've been asked to play for you, Stuart. Have a listen to this.
Yeah.
Good morning, Adrian. I'm just had to pull in here. I'm driving along. Do you know what? It's so refreshing to hear such a young guy being so responsible and thinking of other people and just, you know, just being a good person, a good citizen. It's really, really nice to listen to him, and I wish him and his girlfriend well, and I hope he does get to see his child, because you know what, he is one of the good ones that's doing his best.
And a nice, Stuart.
That's lovely, thanks very much. I like being called a young guy. I'll take that all day long.
All right, good to talk to you, Stuart. Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks, Adrian. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Our telephone number is 6797 981. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Driving home for Christmas or flying home for Christmas is not possibly going to be a thing this year. We want to know whether or not, if you're living abroad, what are your plans for Christmas 2020? Some people are planning to come home. Like for, where's the message I got there? By flipping it on its head, Julia sent me this.
I bought second pair of tickets this Christmas because the one we had for 22nd of December, and I was worried we won't make the Christmas because we have to be for 5 days in quarantine. And so I bought a second pair for 13th of December to make sure we will make it. We really want to be with our family. We are here actually 12 years and we never spent Christmas here, so we really want to, but we will do actually everything, including the quarantine, and if we come back, the kids won't go 2 weeks for school, because we want to, make sure like everything is, we want to protect everybody and not make anyone ill. Thank you.
And that's Julia. She lives in Ireland but wants to go back to Slovakia for Christmas. It's very difficult for everybody. Breda, I'm going to be with you straight after the ad break if you can hang on for 1 second. You're living in Switzerland at the minute.
Yeah,
okay.
In Basel.
In Basel, my favourite city in Switzerland.
You know it well.
I know it well, yeah. Breda, I'll talk to you straight after the ad break. Hang on there for 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
The sound of the city, from Adamstown to Artane. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Dublin Airport has said this week that they hope to have pre-departure testing in place which will get loved ones home for Christmas. But this is a debate that's happening in many families at the moment, whether or not to come home for Christmas, whether or not it's too risky to come home, especially if you're coming home from a country that is pretty much riddled with this virus, as many countries in Europe are at this minute. Is it safe to come home for Christmas? Now, Breda, you're in Basel in Switzerland.
I am, yeah.
Where I'd love to be right now, but I'm not. Anyhow,
you can't.
And what's your situation, Breda?
So I'm here, me and my son. I'm a single mom. He's 4. Sorry, I'm a bit emotional. He'll be 4 in December. And yeah, we've not seen family since last Christmas. Yeah, I think I'm just angry at this stage with the carry-on of, you know, these deniers, people that don't believe in it. Part of me wishes, like, can they not just get their act together for a while and think of other people, like medical staff, everything. I'm not just saying a situation like mine. And the thing is, I also have, my mother is extremely high risk. I got a phone call 3 weeks before Christmas last year to say to come home because it's probably the last Christmas we have with her. So it's just heartbreaking not being able to go home and see her. But also, for me, the risk is too high.
And
I would hate to travel home, and if the corona came into our family home, I couldn't live with that on my conscience.
And you're in a country which has
That's
fairly
riddled.
high prevalence of COVID-19 at the moment in Switzerland, is that right?
It's ridiculous, yeah. Our number yesterday was 8,600 cases.
Wow. And
On the same day, the government met. We thought we would get a lockdown, but wear a mask and social distance is basically the message here.
yeah, and in fact, I've been talking to a friend of mine who
Pubs
also...
are still...
I've been talking to a friend of mine who also lives in Basel, who was telling me that it's just bizarrely normal life, which
I think I know your friend, Brian. would it be?
Brian, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to him over the last few days, and he says life is bizarrely normal, which is very strange considering such high COVID-19 cases. Anyway, the point being that for you and for your elderly ma'am, you don't want to take the risk of coming home, much and all, as I can hear the pain in your voice, Breda. You desperately want to get home to see your ma'am.
Yeah, I want to get home to see her because I'd like to see her while she's still alive. And I really don't think that'll happen. And also, like, I have contemplated talking to a friend this morning. She's from Mayo. She said that she doesn't have, like, very elderly parents, but I was kind of saying, maybe we'll go and we'll book in a hotel and we'll stay in the hotel for 14 days, then go to see my parents. But I have to think of my son as well. Like, he's a 4-year-old. He's not going to understand why he has to be locked
Stuck in a hotel room for 2 weeks, yeah.
You know, so I have to, at the end of the day, he's my priority, and I have to think of him. Now, they've lifted the quarantine in Switzerland, so previously it would have been we would have had to do 14 days in Ireland and 10 days when we returned here. And I've thought, like, I can't lock him up for the best part of a month. Like, as much as he kind of gets through something corona and, you know, we can't have visitors in our house, we don't go to other people's houses, I very much respect the rules that are in place. But yeah, for me, it's just I think it's just too high risk, unless something drastically changed between now and December.
Which is somewhat unlikely by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to you.
The risk here is too
Breda.
high, like, the case numbers are too high here to risk travelling, is basically. And there's other people, like that poor chap you just had on there, like, who can't see his daughter. Like, it's heartbreaking to hear things like that.
But with you, luckily for him, his daughter is young and will have hopefully a very long and happy life in front of her. You're very concerned that your mum is elderly and you really want to see her for Christmas.
She's elderly, she's dementia, she has lung problems.
Oh, God love
she's
her.
Completely at the high end of the scale.
Yeah, well, I can see why you don't want to take that risk. And
I just think the risk is far too high, and yeah, I would just wish that other people would maybe start respecting the rules a bit. I know it's hard in lockdown, but if you look at here, we had a very mild lockdown all along, and it's not helping numbers either.
No, not by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Breda, I wish you well, and my heart goes out to you, to all of you who are stuck in places where you live and work and whatever. But you know, this time last year, coming home for Christmas is something people took for granted, and they'd book it in
of course, yeah.
September, October, and hop on the plane, arrange time off work, all of that, and it's just all taken away. For me,
I think it's kind of, it's 1 year. Okay, we'll just do it for 1 year. But I think with my situation as well, like I have that fear that I won't see my mum alive.
And
can we fly home for a funeral? Like,
is there a possibility of you coming over and, I don't know, getting an Airbnb and quarantining for 2 weeks?
Well, yeah, I thought about that, but then the same thing, like, to bring my child, like, he knows, he's like, I miss Nana, I miss Granda, I want to go to Dublin. But for him, going to Dublin is, he goes to the zoo, he goes to Funky Monkey. I just think for him it's going to be very hard to do something like that. I haven't ruled it out completely. It is in my head, like, we could do that, we could stay in a hotel. Yeah, as I say, I haven't fully ruled it out, but at the moment I think it's a no.
All right, Breda. Look, I wish you well, and hopefully with your little boy, you'll have a copeable Christmas.
Well, yeah, Santa has all arranged. And
well, that's good. And I believe he's got the all clear from COVID-19 as well, which is fantastic news.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he's all okay with the COVID.
Breda, thanks very much indeed, and the very best of luck to you. Let me go to Poland next, and Emer is living in Poland, and Emer, you're saying that you will walk from Poland if you have to.
Hi, Adrian.
Hi, Emer, how are you?
I wouldn't be listening. It's a tough year, especially to be away from family. I'm living alone here as well, so I want to be with your support system.
And are you going to come home?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I was reading, in fact, I work with a couple of Polish blokes here at the radio station and was talking to one of them yesterday. Cases of COVID-19 in Poland are off the scale now.
Yeah, I think today they hit another record again, but look, I'm just taking all the precautions myself. I'm living alone, I can control who I'm in contact with, and it's just about being extra careful then, in the weeks leading up to coming home, and then obviously quarantining when I do get home.
And is that going to be possible? Will you be able to quarantine for 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's a case of I'll probably have to switch rooms with my parents and take their ensuite and kind of barricade the door in there and keep to myself.
So what, are you taking a month off? Are you coming over for a month?
But I'm kind of lucky that I can work remotely, so I'll be able to work from there for the 2 weeks anyway that I quarantine.
All right, very good. So it is possible. Yeah. So your point is that you will do things the right way. You are being safe in Poland, despite the fact that proportionate to Ireland, the cases in Poland are literally off the scale now. You're quite happy that you've been very safe where you are, and you see the risk of bringing the virus home to your family as minimal.
Yeah.
What would it be like if you had to stay in Poland for Christmas on your own?
Well, I'd be hoping there'd be, you could probably meet up with friends, but there's probably going to be limitations on how many people could probably even be in one household as well. So, yeah, it'd probably be quite quiet and lonely and isolating, I'd say.
And in terms of Poland and life in Poland, and you're probably aware here in Ireland we're living under level 5 restrictions, which has certain shops closed, bars and restaurants and all closed. What's it like there in terms of restrictions?
Yeah, it's kind of similar. Like we have to wear masks outside and then indoors as well. There's restaurants and pubs, they're all closed, but the shops are open. That's kind of the only difference.
Okay, but right, so very similar to what we have, with the exception of the shops. When are you making a decision on booking flights and all that?
Probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'd say. I think there's meant to be another press conference today, so there's talk of possibly going into a full lockdown here, and if that happens I might travel home sooner. So
Okay, but you're in a fortunate position that you can work remotely if you do come home here and do want to or do have to isolate for 2 weeks. You will be able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Nolene, stay there for 1 second, Emer. Nolene, why are you angry?
Okay. I'm angry for the simple reason she's coming over from a country. I understand everybody wants to see their loved one at Christmas. And I don't know what it feels like because my family live in Ireland. But she's coming from a country, and 9 times out of 10, people don't quarantine. My sister's going in to have her baby on Tuesday, and she has to go by herself because of this coronavirus. But it's okay for her.
Sorry, she's just explained to you that she will, when she comes home, she will self-isolate for 2 weeks in her parents' bedroom with an ensuite. Pardon me?
Who's going to say she will self-isolate?
She's telling us she will. I have to take her word for it.
A lot of people have said that, and I know people that have gone to Poland and have gone to other countries and come back and not isolated, have been out roaming around the streets the following day. So what annoys me is the fact that my sister has to go in to have her baby by herself, without her husband.
Well, he can go in when she's actually giving birth.
Yeah, he can go in when the baby's she's having a section, so when the baby's been taken out. But what makes me angry, like my sister, there's many a woman has gone in to have their baby first, second, third or fourth by themselves. But the government keeps the airport open for people to come home for Christmas. I mean,
but Nolene, if people like Emer are saying and are prepared and is even planned to do the right thing and quarantine for 2 weeks, what's the issue?
Yeah, that's fine if they do it, but who's to say they're going to do it?
Well, Emer, you are going to do it, isn't that the bottom line? Yeah. And I assume because you don't want to put any of your family at risk.
No, like my parents, well, they're nearly in their 70s, like they would be high risk, so I don't want to give them anything, you know?
So you would literally walk in the front door, up the stairs, into the room and stay there for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
All right, fair play. Emer, I wish you well. Thanks very much indeed. A huge reaction to this. We'll take a couple more calls and WhatsApp voice notes after the break. 98. It's 11 o'clock across Dublin. Good morning. This is Adrian Kennedy. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And this is Laura with Thursday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. Good morning. Post-mortem exams will be carried out today on the bodies of a mother and her 2 young children found dead in South Dublin. Gardaí have spoken with a man connected to the family following the discovery of the bodies in a house in Llewellyn Estate in Ballantyre. Gardaí say the deaths remain unexplained but have deployed the full resources of a murder inquiry. 2 separate funerals will take place for 3 family members who died in an apparent murder-suicide in Cork. Requiem Mass for 56-year-old Tig and 23-year-old Diarmuid O'Sullivan will take place on Friday, and a funeral for 26-year-old Mark O'Sullivan will take place on Saturday. 3 people have been killed in a suspected terrorist attack in France. Several others were injured in the knife rampage at a church in Nice this morning. A man has been arrested. And Lidl and Aldi will stop selling their middle aisle products during level 5 COVID-19 restrictions. There had been issues with some shops offering non-essential items while other stores aren't allowed to open. And now you're up to date on 98.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
We're talking about people's plans for Christmas if they're living abroad after Dublin Airport saying this week that they hope to have pre-departure testing in place, which they say will get loved ones home for Christmas. Louise lives in London and has yet to decide whether or not to come home.
Hi, Adrian. I'm in the same boat as that lad from Coolock.
Oh, sorry, I played that already. I'm sorry, my apologies. Michael.
Good morning, guys. It's Michael here. Not to sound pessimistic here, but in regards to Australia, Melbourne with their lockdown and us here in Ireland with our lockdown, granted, case numbers go down because obviously people are moving around and stuff like that. What happens in Melbourne and in Ireland when we do start moving around again and case numbers come back up on the rise again? Do we go into another lockdown? Like, is this just going to be like a yo-yo? Is it going to be up and down, in and out of lockdown? I don't see this whole reason to why lockdowns even work. We should be looking at how Sweden have approached this and how they are living life as normal as possible.
All right, Michael, thank you. Kevin, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Kevin.
How you doing, Adrian?
Now, you travelled to the UK on the boat to visit family, and you did isolate when you got back.
Yeah. See, what it was unfortunately, my wife's father had passed away. So it was right up onto the funerals over there aren't the same as over here. It's not like the next day or the day after. It was 2 weeks, but we couldn't go over. It was in April, and it was right in the middle of the first lockdown, and we weren't too sure if we were able to go right up until the day before his funeral. We just said, right, we're going. We cannot miss his funeral. So we went over. We got on the boat, and all the times I've been on that boat, Adrian, going over to football games and stuff like that, it was myself, my wife, my daughter, and one other passenger and the crew.
Right.
It was a ghost ship, like it was empty. But we went over and we went in the cabin. We put a mask on, and when we got over there, we were picked up by them, whole family, from Holyhead. Drove down to their house, and the same day we stayed there for three days. Drove back, and then when we got off, we had to sign a form, and we had to self-isolate for 2 weeks. So, and we did that, and that was tougher on us, to be fair. We lucky enough we had family members who were weren't far from us, and they were able to drop milk and bread to the door and some shopping and stuff. But we didn't move. And
I've spoken to many people over the last few months who have done the right thing on their return from abroad, and they have isolated for 2 weeks. Anecdotally, I've heard of people not doing that, but I think the majority of people have been doing that, have been isolating for the 2 weeks, because they take that into their travel plans, basically.
Yeah, well, it's the same. My next door neighbour as well is from Wales, his family, and he hasn't been over at all. And he was saying the same, but he has this thing, like, he went over then in the end. He actually drove up to Belfast and parked his car there and went sailing from Belfast to Wales. And when he came back, because it was technically the UK, and he didn't have to self-isolate, he said. So he didn't. But I think he kept himself to himself. He has this thing in his head that it's not where you go, it's what you do when you get there.
And I agree with that to a large extent, I have to be honest. And, I've spoken to people who actually did travel abroad during the summer, but they kept themselves to themselves. They didn't mix with other people, so they feel fairly safe. However, I have known of people doing exactly what your friend did, and gone up north and travelled over to the UK that way, where you don't have to self-isolate when you come back. Let me just squeeze in one last call. Sean, you came back from Texas 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, Adrian, yeah. It's a little over 2 weeks ago now, but just to fill you in, so myself and my fiance found out we were expecting a baby around this time last year,
Okay.
And we were doing long distance, and we're together nearly 2 years, but my visa to get there and live in America, it's kind of a bit of a long process. But I went over in March for the 20-week baby scan,
Mm-hmm.
And then I was only home a week. I only went over for a week, or 10 days, came back, was working away, and then they went into, the whole world went into lockdown, really. And the US shut their borders to Europe and China and all the rest. So basically, she was 5 months pregnant at that stage. And we were basically separated from March right up to July when she gave birth. I actually missed the birth because I wasn't allowed to fly over until the baby was born. So our son was born on July 22nd, and I flew to Texas on July 23rd. And that was we were 5 months apart at that stage. She wasn't 5 months pregnant in March when I went over, but we were 5 months apart by the time I was able to get over there. And I stayed in Texas for 3 months, and about 2 weeks ago, myself, her and the baby just flew back from Texas to here in Dublin, and now my family have got to meet the baby and all, but
No, you heard a lady getting a bit annoyed a couple of minutes ago over, people coming into the country and not isolating. You have done so, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And it, sure, what else would you be doing anyways? I mean, in our case...
There's not a lot to do, yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot to do anyways, but, go out for the odd walk. I'm sure people would think of doing that, but us with the new baby, we're just at home spending time with him, and he's 3 months old now, and my family are just all soaking it up and all, and now we're home actually about 15 or 16 days now at this stage, so like we could go out, but sure, what can you do? Like, I mean,
there isn't much to do anyway. Yeah, how long are you going to stay for, Sean? What's the plan?
So the plan is we're going to stay until January, because herself can only stay for 3 months. Because I could only stay for 3 months when I was over there. We can't get married technically because everything's locked down, but we have applied for a visa called the K1 visa. It's the fiancé visa.
Okay.
So I'm due to have an interview in the US Embassy in Dublin for my visa to live and work and do all of that over there. But sure, it's all being delayed this year. So the plan is for me to go back with herself and the baby in January, and we're just going to keep going back and forth until my visa comes in. That's basically what we're going to do. But I'm lucky enough, I work for myself here, so I have a plumbing and heating business, and she's actually self-employed over in the States, so we are flexible in that sense,
Okay, all right. So your business continues and continued while you were isolating for the 2 weeks?
No. If I don't go to work, it's just me, like, so.
Oh, right, okay. So are you getting back to work now for the next few weeks?
Yeah. Well, if the phone starts ringing, people are very nervous to have you in their house.
Yeah, and that's understandable as well. All right, Sean. Look, I wish you well, and congratulations on the baby.
Thanks very much.
What's the baby's name?
His name is Taos. It's spelled Taos.
Taos. Taos.
Yeah, Taos. It's actually a town in New Mexico in America. It's a kind of it's a Native American name. So.
All right. Very nice, very nice.
It's a little town we visited when we first met, and we kind of just grew out saying it was a nice name for a boy,
And where do you see, this is just complete, by the way, flipping between Texas and Dublin, where do you see yourself settling? Would you like to settle in the States?
Yeah, I like it over there. I mean, she's from Texas, and our plan is to kind of settle over there for the first couple of years at least, and then maybe we'll live in both countries at some point, obviously, but I don't mind living over there. I like it over there as well, so I think we might start off over there and then just see how it goes,
All right, well, fair play, Sean, and great to talk to you, and have a good Christmas with the family now that you're done your 2 weeks isolation. Thanks very much indeed. Let's bring in a couple of WhatsApp voice notes. This is from Mark.
Hey, Adrian, Mark here. Yeah, just regarding that man that's in England, I definitely tell him to come home for the Christmas, because he doesn't know if it's going to be the last time he'd ever see his mother and father, so, it's that going for it as well. And then obviously take precautions. Thank you.
All right, Rachel's sister lives in London.
Hi, Rachel here. My sister's in the same situation as that guy that had texted in. Lives in London, her 2 kids. They come home for Christmas every year. She'd be high risk as she has asthma and a heart condition. My nephew is in university. It was just too confusing, so she only told us last night that they won't be coming home. My dad, who lives on his own, who she stays with, is also high risk, 81. But for me, them coming home equals Christmas. So with them not coming home, it might as well be cancelled.
Kathy lives in London and will be coming home for Christmas.
Hi guys. I will also be coming home for Christmas. I'm currently living in London and couldn't imagine missing Christmas this year. I went home for my brother's wedding in August. As soon as we landed, went straight to the Liffey Medical Centre, got a private coronavirus test for €175. Got the results back in less than 24 hours, and I'll probably do the same at Christmas just to put my extended family at ease and to make everyone a little bit more comfortable. So a little bit of advice if anyone wants it.
All right, Kathy, thank you very much indeed. And one last message. Lorraine has returned from Canada after 5 years.
Hi, Adrian. I moved home from Canada after 5 years about a month ago. We actually lost my aunt to COVID back in May, and it was really, really tough being abroad. I made the decision, took a while, it was a very hard decision for a few months to come home and to look after my parents, as my dad is elderly and my mum has a underlying condition. For me, family comes first, but it wasn't an easy decision at all. It was one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. But had I not have done that, I would have been in the same position as a lot of other people that have called in and messaged, and it's one of those things, as he said, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I just wanted to say to all of those people, you know, it's really hard, and there is people who are around you and here that are thinking of you, and, you know, hang tight. It's not a message to say do or don't, but, you know, just hang tight, stay strong, and we're all thinking of you.
All right, Lorraine, thanks you very much indeed for your message. Very nice message indeed. This is 98 FM.
The sound of the city, from Sallynoggin to Swords. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Now, come here. I want to just change direction of this conversation completely for a while, and move away from the COVID world, if that's okay with you. I'm sure it is. You'd get a pain in your face, wouldn't you? Anyway, because the reason this came into us at the very start of the show today, just completely out of left field, and it's I want you to have a listen. We often get texts during the show from people looking for advice, and today is no different, but this is a weird one. It's from a listener called Craig, and he messaged us earlier on 0877 98 98 98. What the hell is a push present? And is he expected to buy one for his wife who's pregnant at the moment and due next month? Or is this just some American made-up nonsense that you'd expect from the Kardashians? Have a listen to this. Craig, thanks for sending this in to us. And we rang Craig. And unfortunately, he's on a Zoom meeting at work, so he can't take a call from us. But I'm going to read out his message anyway, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I know you're talking about something different at the moment, but I need your help. My wife is due to give birth in 4 weeks, and loads of girls I work with have told me I have to get her a push present. I hadn't a clue what they were on about. Then I Googled it. WTF! Exclamation mark, he says. Is this a thing now? My wife has never mentioned it to me herself, but will she be secretly expecting one after she gives birth? Get me answers, lads, says Craig. And, okay, this clearly is a thing now, where a woman may give birth and the man in her life, or her partner, will give her a push present. It's a little thank you. It's a little reward for having the baby, for doing all the hard work, for pushing, basically. And he'd never even heard of this. Now, I have to be honest with you, Craig, I'd never heard of it until a couple of years back. But he wants to know, will she be ticked off if he doesn't get her a push present? Is this actually really a thing here? And do women, generally speaking, expect to get a present from their partner after they've pushed the baby out? That's why it's called a push present. Call me right now on 6797 981. You can text, you can WhatsApp, or you can send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Straight away, I got this message. My husband got me a push present when I had my first baby, and he is getting something for me for my second baby. I wouldn't expect anything, but let's face it, it's bloody hard work over the 9 months and for delivery. Men get all the joy, none of the pain, so the least we can expect is a present. That's actually from our Katie, believe it or not, who's on maternity leave. She just messaged me straight away. Yeah, men get all the joy, none of the pain. I'm not expecting a push present, but I better bloody get one, is really what Katie is saying. Alan, I hope you're listening. Now, push presents. This is Gav.
Adrian, just on the old push present thing there, should I have been expecting a present off her for putting it in there? If I'm getting her a present for getting it back out? Just wondering.
That's a fair point. Right. What, you want to be rewarded every time? We'll take a quick break. Talk to me about push presents. Explain to Craig what they're all about and whether or not he should be expected to give her one.
The sound of the city from Clondalkin to Clontarf. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Push presents. That's what I want to talk. Well, Craig wants to know what the deal is. He wrote this to us on a WhatsApp at the start of the show today. This is top of his mind. I know you're talking about something different at the moment, and indeed we were, Craig. But I need your help. My wife is due to give birth in 4 weeks, and loads of girls I work with have told me I have to get her a push present. I hadn't a clue what they were on about. Then I Googled it. WTF? Is this a thing now? Vicky has never mentioned it to me, Vicky being his wife, I assume, herself. But will she be secretly expecting one after she gives birth? Get me answers, lads. And that's from a guy called Craig. Let's have a listen to this. Dave has a solution.
Adrian, Dave here. Get her a wheelbarrow. Push that. Look.
Oh, Dave, you're such a man. You're such a man. And look, it seems to be, well, it wasn't when my kids were born, but it seems to be a thing now. A push present. Call me now on 6797 981. Carol, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Carol?
Hello, Adrian. I'm fine, thanks.
I know there are people listening to us right now have never even heard the expression push present. To
be honest...
Yeah, go on.
To be honest, I had never actually heard it called a push present, but I gave birth to my eldest son 24 years ago, and my expectation at that time was that it would be recognised in some way, shape or form by my husband.
Is a bunch of flowers not enough?
Well, you see, I didn't even get the bunch of flowers.
Oh. Oh.
Now, I know I was induced early, so basically we were only told on the Monday that I was to be in the following day. But even my dad gave him the opportunity later on, because he was born quite fast, but it was quite traumatic. My dad actually said, I'll be here for a while if you want to go off and do a few things, hoping he'd get the hint to go off and get the flowers and maybe a balloon and a card. But no, he actually said he was so tired. So that earned him the look of...
He said he was so tired.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I despair.
Exactly. So if this guy wants to earn major brownie points, whether his wife is expecting it or even knows what a push present is, if he has a small piece of jewellery, just something like maybe a mummy and baby kind of pendant, or something small with flowers and a shoppy card, he'll earn so many brownie points. Sure, he'll be on such a high after she gives birth that he'll be so thankful for what she's gone through, and hopefully all goes well, that it's a big thing.
Okay,
and
now,
the guy
somebody just messaged me a second ago. He should want to get her something. She shouldn't have to ask, or he shouldn't have to be told.
And she probably never would ask either, because it would be this expectation, like a small thing that she'd probably hope that he would recognise it, and would be so much better. It turned out anyway that within a number of months I got a lovely gold mummy and baby pendant on a necklace, which I still have till this day, because my son used to actually put his little finger in it when he was playing, and he looks at it these days at 6'3", and he's like, "Oh, wasn't I cute when I was small?"
Okay, so you think any man whose partner or wife is about to give birth or is going to be having a baby soon, he will earn himself immeasurable brownie points if he gets her something nice.
Yeah, and also, after the baby's born, when he actually looks at the baby and his wife, he'll be so blissed out that he'll be like, God, this is the least you deserve for what you've gone through. It would be a lovely moment. He made up, my husband made up for it on the second child.
I was about to say, it's just as well he did, because you still remember it to this day that he got you nothing on the first.
I'm telling you. Yeah, but then again, I got married to somebody who forgot to mention his beautiful bride in his wedding speech, and I didn't actually note it at all at the time until a friend picked up on it. So,
Oh my God! And you're still with this man?
No.
No.
No, because he forgot my first birthday after we got married as well.
Oh my God!
But that's not the reason for the divorce. That's a different show. That's a totally different show.
Oh, I'd love to have that conversation with you.
Over a few drinks when the pub's open.
Okay,
again.
all right, great, Carol. Thanks very much for talking to me.
You're very welcome.
Enjoyed it.
Take care.
Now, push presents. Let's have a listen to Samantha, who says, this is Kardashian's nonsense.
Hi, Adrian. I think that man is 100%. It is like something you'd see from the Kardashians. I know after I had my son, my partner didn't exactly buy me a present as such, but he got me a lovely Chinese after coming out of the hospital, which was better than any present because the food in the hospital is rank. So it was lovely to come home and have a yummy Chinese. I think any woman that expects it from her partner, you know what I mean? I think it depends on what she expects. You know what I mean? Like if she's expecting diamonds and gold kind of thing, like I think that's a bit OTT now in my opinion. But like something small, like I suppose, you know, like in my case, like my partner got me a takeaway and that was lovely. You know, something like that it would be okay. Like, but I honestly think if a woman was to fall out with her partner because of the fact that he didn't get her a push present as such, no, I think that's selfish in my opinion. Thanks, Adrian. Love the show. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Samantha. And Bob sent me this.
Hey lads, Bob here. Listen, I believe the male version of the push present is actually called the shove present. You get it? Yeah, shove it in. That's exactly what it's called, the shove present. So if she gets a push present, you ask her, where's me shove present? Good luck.
Bob, you're such a comedian. You're hilarious. Niall, you reckon both should get a present?
Definitely. Hey, Adrian. Yeah, I totally agree. The mother should get a push present, totally. But the man who actually performed the act in the first place should get like a Danish or a Black Forest Gatto for putting the bun in the oven. You know what I mean?
Sorry, just listening to that and listening to that last message. Men are such idiots, really. You think that was hard work, do you?
Well, yeah, what I mean is you could call it a bakery present for putting a bun in the oven.
Yeah, I know, but if you think
all the hard work.
But if you think that was a chore, you know nothing then about giving birth and carrying a baby for 9 months.
Yeah, 100%. We're all just trying to put a bit of light on this current situation. Anyway.
Absolutely. Now, come here. Have you children yourself?
I don't at the moment. Not that I know of, anyway.
Oh, not that you know of. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. There's a conversation again for another day. That's
the truth.
Right, that's another pint in a pub conversation. All right, no, thanks very much indeed. Steph sent me this WhatsApp voice note.
Hey, good morning. Just a message there in relation to your man and the push present. Don't be listening to all the girls in your office. If your wife hasn't asked for one, if she hasn't expressed or she hasn't dropped any hints about it, spend your money where it counts on the new edition. Push present. I've never heard of something so ridiculous in my life. And the girls who actually expect or ask, I think they're so selfish. You're having a baby, you chose to do it. If you didn't want it, don't get pregnant. Simple.
Relax there, Steph. Okay, there aren't many, well, certainly in Craig's case, his missus isn't expecting one. Okay? She hasn't said a word about it. No, she hasn't mentioned it. But I want to do a quick search for a woman who got a decent push present from her partner when she gave birth. What did you get, Jeremy?
iPad Pro.
Jeremy got an iPad for his missus.
No, it wasn't the iPad Pro.
He got the cheapo iPad, the bottom of the range iPad. So when he realised she wasn't in... He's saying all this in my ear, by the way. She wasn't in labour as long as he had expected, so she got the cheap iPad. Anyway, that's what she... How romantic, Jeremy. How romantic of you. An iPad. Anyway, that was the push present that he got for his wife. I want to find out if anybody actually got a decent present as a push present. And where did this thing ever come from? Leonard, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Leonard?
Hi, Adrian. Great show as usual.
Thank
I
you
love
very
the topic. Absolutely brilliant. So funny. I'm in stitches. I've never heard of this before. I think it's a sign of the times.
You've never heard of a push present?
Never in my life. I think it's hilarious. But you know something? I think if it works both ways, I mean, and people are
no, stop this. Stop. It works both ways. A man gets a present for putting the baby in there, and then she gets a present for the baby coming out again. No.
Yeah, and his present should be called the installation present.
Oh my God Almighty!
No,
what has happened to men? You want a reward for the joyous creation of a child?
Completely 5-star. Yeah. Bring it on.
So have you ever heard of a push present?
Never in my life. Never. A push chair, okay, but a push present, never.
And you live in Spain, Leonard, isn't that right?
I do.
And is it a thing over there?
Never heard of it. I never heard of it until this morning in my life. Never.
Oh, right.
It's brilliant. I think it's so funny. But seriously, if people are happy with this, go for it. If not, just leave it, you know.
And have you children yourself?
I have 2.
And
3 grandkids.
Okay. And did you buy presents when the children arrived?
Yeah, I probably did, but not because of the situation. Probably because just it was... Well, yes, it was a situation because it was just so nice to have the kids, but not in the terms of a push present, you know.
Okay, never heard of it.
And I think that term is actually terrible. A push present.
Well, that's what they're doing.
But I know, but they can have a nicer name than push. I mean, come on, you know, a nice, a more tender, maybe a romantic name. But push it
well,
push it out. You know,
it's a little bit more romantic than an installation present.
I suppose so.
All right, good to talk to you as always, Leonard. Thanks very much indeed. Let's have a listen to this from
Hey, Adrian,
Jess.
love the show. I think this topic is hilarious. It's very funny. The present I got after having my kids was now I have to go and drown the baby, wet the baby's head.
Oh, sorry, there's another message from her.
Wet the baby's head. So I'm going for a pint. You'll be grand.
And that was the way. That was the way. Back in the day, men weren't even in the labour wards. They tended to be in the pub, wetting the baby's head. Anne, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Anne?
I'm good, Adrian. I'm good. I really am. Jeez.
Now, tell me about the push present that you got.
Oh, yeah. Jesus, 33
because
years.
We're on the search now for the most exotic push present, so I think yours is up there. What did you get?
I got a box of After Eight with a tassel on them. And then the miserable at half of them telling me he was exhausted. And when I did get home, I did get a follow-up. I got a 4-wheel drive in the shape of a Silver Cross pram.
Oh, fantastic. Right,
so I'm ready to go with the push of presents there, really. Years and years ago, women, I believe my mother, which is over 60 years ago, she did get an eternity ring if you had a boy.
Really? Oh, if you had a boy?
If you had a boy, you got an eternity ring.
Oh.
So I was an only girl, and she had 2 boys after me. She did wear a little eternity ring. Now, whether she was just trying to make herself like Elizabeth Taylor or what, I don't know. But I said, but my present was a large box of After Eight, and I felt like Elizabeth Taylor in the comb with the tassel hanging out of the After Eight. And a miserable sitting facing me, nuzzling them.
Not even a bunch of flowers, nothing, no, just a box of After Eight.
No, he was a busman. He said he was too busy, couldn't find them anywhere.
He couldn't find flowers?
No, he couldn't find flowers. I think he stroked the After Eight somewhere. But at least I had a hot 4-wheel drive and I got home in a Navy Silver Cross pram. I was delighted with life.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, so I needn't tell you anything.
Okay, so what do you think of this idea of push presents? Do you think a man now, today, should be giving her a present for giving birth?
Well, as a girl, a couple of calls there before, and I thought it was the nicest present was that young girl that was on. a nice Chinese meal when she got home.
Yeah, actually, nice and simple.
You know, it was nice. It's all American way now. Between that and our bloody baby showers and burst a balloon, what's the gender going to be? And they're following the Americans, and it's gone really ridiculous now. It's gone too far, you know, that way. I just think it is really, you know. I mean, even with communion, confirmation parties, graduation parties, I didn't have anything like that. So I just think it's gone a bit too far now, really, that we are following the Kardashians.
Well, okay, we just got this message from a woman who she got the ideal push present. Wait till you have a listen to this now. Here we go. Let's listen to this.
Adrian, I got the best present I could ever wish for as a push present. I got a baby, a beautiful baby boy. What more could a woman ask for? Thank you.
Well, she's right, isn't she?
Even when I go by the curb now, I feel a 16 and go, oh, jeez. And if I see after 8 out of Christmas, I go, no, thanks, you're grand. I don't like after 8 anymore.
Brilliant. Great to talk to you, and thanks very much indeed. We're talking about push presents and whether or not it is necessary. If your partner is having a baby, are you expected now to get her a present? More than a box of after eights. Now, Patrice, your kids were born in the States, is that right?
Yeah, they were born in America.
Okay, and are push presents a thing in the States?
Well, they were starting off when I had my 2 kids over there.
Okay, and
but as I just said in my text there, it's more of a, you know, like an eternity ring job. That's what I got.
Oh, right, so you did get an eternity ring?
I got 2 eternity rings after 2 children, yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, right, okay. So
yeah.
you're
one
way
with sapphire and one with diamonds.
You're way down with eternity rings.
Yeah, I am. Well, actually, no, I'm divorced now, so.
Oh, right, okay. All right. That's another over a pint in a pub conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay, but it was a thing. So how old are the kids now?
12 and 13.
Okay, so they were born in the States, and push presents were a thing over there then?
Then they were, yeah.
And it
before
seems...
the Kardashians.
Before the Kardashians, that's interesting,
Yeah.
actually. So it seems to have travelled across the Atlantic now, and is expected here now.
No, I don't think it's expected here. I think it's just an American thing. But it was similar. It's similar. The ring over here is very similar.
This conversation started from the message from Craig from earlier on, and he knew nothing about this. And in fact, most people who've messaged us have never heard of a push present. But anyway,
my ex-husband didn't know about eternity rings until I told him.
So you had to.
You kind of had to wangle a little bit to get something out of him.
Okay, so you had to give him the clangor of a hint.
A little bit of a hint, yeah.
Oh.
It took a while now to get both the rings, but it took, a year and a half once the second baby was born. It took about 3 months to get both the rings, but I got 2 in one day, so.
You did eventually. All right, Patrice, thanks very much indeed. Siobhan thinks this is utter nonsense.
To be honest with you now, in my opinion, a push present is a big load of bleep, bleep, bleep. I have 3 kids and I have never heard of a push present on the first 2. Never expected one. Not to say that my husband didn't pick me up something nice now, but putting that pressure on people to go and pick something else in this day and age is actually just ridiculous. It's a presents now, push presents, baby shower present when you have the baby, present for a christening. Like, it's just, the world's gone mad with presents for this, that and everything. I don't know how anyone has any money left, and it takes any meaning or value out of any of the gifts that you kind of choose for people now. I think that's just my opinion. But anyway, as for push present, I just think that's ridiculous. I think a couple has come together, they are expecting a child, they're going through that together, they have a baby, they're spending a fortune on kitting out their house and getting all the baby stuff in, and putting that pressure to prove something is just ridiculous. Like, what does a push present prove to anyone?
All right, Peter, I'm going to talk to you straight after the break. What do you think of this whole push present thing?
Nonsense.
Nonsense. Stay there, I'll be with you straight after the ad break.
The sound of the city, from Perrystown to Portmarnock. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
So, Orla, I don't want you to tell me yet what you got as a push present, yeah?
Right, okay.
But you were very happy.
I was indeed, yes. Really happy.
Okay, well, I want to see if our listeners can guess what you actually got as a push present, okay? So let me ask you, were you given this present when you were in hospital?
No, when I come home, I was pushing me luck by asking.
Okay, so you didn't get it. So it wasn't given to you in the hospital. It was given to you when you got home. Were you expecting it? Had you asked for it?
Yeah, well, my previous, what I had previous to it, was giving me nothing but hassle, so I had asked and I got it.
Okay, so you needed a new one of these things, and you gave lots and lots and lots of hints that you needed a new one because the old one was in bits, and you actually got one.
I did indeed, yes.
Now, do you think that all women deserve one of these when they have a baby?
Oh, I do indeed,
You do? Okay, all right, very good. Now, I want to see if our listeners can guess what you got as a push present. Send me a WhatsApp right now to 0877 98 98 98. Orla reckons every woman deserves one of these after having a baby. She wasn't given it in hospital. She was given it when she got home. She dropped lots of hints for it because the one that she had was just not in good condition, and she kind of needed a new one. And the hints worked anyway, Orla, yeah?
Yeah, they did indeed.
Okay, now...
There's enough of them given.
Okay, did you get a brand new handbag?
No.
No. Oh, right. Okay, it wasn't a handbag. Let's see. Did you get a brand new vacuum cleaner?
No.
Okay, all right. Because you can have a bad vacuum cleaner. Stay there for a second, Orla, because I want to talk to Peter first, and keep your messages coming in, and please stop texting in that thing. Yeah. No, she didn't get a vibrator, for God's sake. Peter, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Peter?
Adrian, how are you getting on?
I'm good, thank you, Peter. What do you think of this whole push present malarkey?
Absolute nonsense.
Oh.
Honest to God, Adrian, I think after 9 months of listening to her pissing and moaning about how hard it is that you try to do this and, men can't have babies, I think the only person who deserves a present would be me, a holiday.
What, for putting up with her?
For putting up with it. My God, I went through it twice, Adrian. It was a really, really hard experience.
For you?
For me. Absolutely. Like, why should I be giving her a present? If I handed my wife a present after she gets birth, for her, she would turn around to me and say, you want me to open up something else? Right now, she would have bet me with it. Not a bloody chance, Adrian. No way. Very Kardashian.
Okay, so you don't like the idea of this push present thing?
I don't like the idea of push present, but I could guess what that lady got, though.
Okay, go on, have a guess.
A new car.
A new car?
Yeah.
Hardly. She said every woman who has a baby should get one of these.
I reckon she got a new car or a new oven.
Or a new oven.
Orla,
was it a new oven?
No, it wasn't
not a new oven, no, sorry about that.
Oh.
But was it, Orla, a new car?
It was indeed, yes.
A new car?
Yeah.
That was your push present?
It was indeed, yes. It was well deserved, Adrian.
Now, Peter, you don't know what you're talking about. A new car as a push present.
I haven't a clue, Adrian. I haven't a clue.
You're a disgrace. And that's a lovely old present. So he took the hints that your old car was in bits, and when you got home from hospital, new car for you.
Yeah, well, my excuse was I had bought a car seat and I was after getting an Isofix base. It didn't fit in the old car, so I was saying, but we might as well just get a new car to fit in the new car seat.
And lo and behold, there it was.
It was indeed. A week later, he drove home with it.
Ah, that's brilliant.
Into my garden.
Very good. Fair play to him. Are you still with him?
I am.
Oh, well, that's all right, because anytime I've asked that question before now, they've said no, so that's good to hear. Well, why wouldn't you be with a fella now who'll buy you a push present of a car?
Well, this is it now. I'm waiting to see what I get for the next in a couple of years.
Okay. A lot of people actually guessed that, but other people said, was it gym membership? That's a bit of an insult, isn't it? Was it a new washing machine? Was it an iron? Lots of people, for some reason, thought it might have been a new oven. Why would you want a new oven? To put a new bun in or something? I don't know. She was handed a laptop. Was it a Range Rover Sport? No. What sort of a car was it, actually?
It was a Volkswagen.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Have you still got the car?
I do indeed.
Oh, very good, very good. So you still have the car, you still have the fella, so that's all good.
Yeah.
Here, listen to what Joanne got as a push present.
Hi Adrian, I never heard of a push present, but when I came home from the hospital, my partner had a beautiful bottle of Budweiser waiting for me because I love a Budweiser, and I didn't have a drink for 9 months, and he also had a beautiful Indian curry made. So that was my present. Loved the show, absolutely fantastic topic. Laughing here all morning at some of them, unbelievable, very funny.
So a bottle of Bud and what'd she say, an Indian?
An Indian.
A homemade Indian, no less. That's very nice. It's no car, having said that, Joanne, I have to say. Orla, thanks very much indeed. And the car's still going well, that's the main thing.
It is indeed.
Excellent. All right, good to talk to you. Thanks, Orla. Now, where am I going to? Oh, let's just have a listen to a couple of WhatsApp voice notes. Roisin, did I play Roisin yet?
Hey, Adrian, hope you're well. A push present. What has the world come to? Sorry, but if you get a beautiful, healthy baby at the end of it all, that's the most precious present in the world. Having to get a physical present, like, get a grip. What is the world coming to?
Glenn has an interesting question.
Tell me this, Adrian. What happens if she's sectioned? There's no pushing involved there for her, so she gets nothing.
That's a very good question. I can't answer that. I didn't come up with the expression push present. The Americans did. But if you have a cesarean, yeah, no pushing there. This is from, I don't know who this is, actually.
Hi, Adrian. Just a quick one. Only 23, but I have 2 kids already, believe it or not. But I think you should want to, if you get me. You should want to get them something anyway, because of all what they've been through. We're just there looking at it happen. So, yeah, just something nice. Doesn't have to be mad, but just something nice.
Something nice. All right, Alan, thank you very much indeed. Bernie, you're new to this expression as well, push presents.
Yes.
Never heard of it?
I didn't.
Okay.
I did get a present of my first child.
Oh, did you? Very good. What did you get?
I didn't. I got a €100 note in a Tippets magazine, and I got an Afghan coat.
You got €100 note?
Note in a Tippets magazine many years ago.
Right.
And an Afghan coat. I didn't know what it was. An Afghan coat. They were all the fashion.
What's an Afghan coat?
It's just like a sheepskin coat, white.
Oh.
It's called an Afghan coat, yes. Many moons ago, Adrian.
Okay.
But I was watching a movie about a month ago, Yummy Mummies, on Netflix, and that's where I heard, that's the first time I heard that expression, push presents.
Oh,
I'm getting cars and diamond rings and everything.
Yeah. Well, it's happening. You just heard that last caller. She got a car, so it's the new thing. And excuse me, I'm looking at photographs of Afghan coats. Yeah, that's lovely and cuddly.
Yeah.
That's lovely and cuddly. And and €100 note. And what was the magazine?
Tippets.
Titbits?
Tippets magazine, yeah.
Oh. And the €100 note was inside that, and you got a coat.
I was like, what the hell is the magazine? And then I opened it. There was €100 note. We're divorced since, mind you, but...
Oh, that seems to be everybody. Everybody who didn't get a decent present is divorced now. So, the message is, lads, if she's having a baby for you, get her something decent or she's going to divorce you. That's...
Yeah, well, I had 3 after that and I got nothing.
Oh.
But, yeah.
Right. Have you
but
still
that's
got...
when I saw it on Netflix and I said, that's where that's after coming from, because everybody's talking about it now.
Yeah, it is. It is a thing. And like I said, lads, if you want to be in our good books, it has to be a push present. Thanks, Bernie.
Okay.
Let's have a listen to this from Stacey.
I feel robbed. I've had 3 kids and got no push presents.
You have been robbed. This is that lady who got a car. Michelle, gave birth 3 weeks ago.
Hi Adrian, I had a baby 3 weeks ago and my partner got me a push present and he got me an Instax camera that prints out the Polaroid pictures and a scrapbook. So that was nice.
That's brilliant, Michelle. Great old present. I bought one for my daughter a year and a half ago, but you can't drive it. You just can't. Karen sent me this.
Hi Adrian. I worked with a woman who gave birth to her first baby, and when she came out of the maternity hospital, her husband had a brand new black Jeep sitting outside the front door of the hospital waiting for her. I heard it from her mouth, so it's 100% true. Can't remember the name of the Jeep, but I know it was like a high-end model. She came out into a Jeep, but it is a bit of a joke. It's a bit over the top. Each to their own. I got 3 lovely babies and I'm happy with them.
Okay, but I'm sure you'd love 3 lovely Jeeps as well, wouldn't you? Of course you would. A couple more. This is Kira.
I never got a push present, never got a card, never got so much as a bouquet of flowers, never got help with the night feed. I don't know why I'm actually still with him. But there's also a thing now called baby moon, so if I ever get pregnant again, I'm making her take me on the baby moon.
Yeah, you can get a divorce, Kira. You can definitely get one of them. Bernie.
The first time I heard of a push present was watching a movie called Yummy Mummies on Netflix about a month ago. So I'd say a lot of people have watched it and that's where they're getting their ideas from.
That was Bernie I spoke to a couple of minutes ago. Joanne.
Hi Adrian, I never heard of a push present, but when I came home from the hospital, my partner had a beautiful bottle of Budweiser waiting for me.
Oh, we played that, didn't we? Yeah. Anto.
Adrian, my daughter-in-law just had her baby there by section. But 2 hours ago, Hannah Eustace, new baby Hunter, has arrived. So I never...
Oh, sorry. Don't know what's happening there. And finally, the best push present was him getting the snip after our 3rd baby, says Carol. And I can't read that message out. It's... When she said her old one was in bits and needed a new one, I thought she needed new... I can't read that out. God's sake. Oh, yes. Anyway, there you go. They are push presents. Lads, be warned. It'll end. She won't stay with you if you don't get one. That's really what I'm hearing. Okay? She deserves one. Anyway, thanks very much indeed for all of your calls. I'm after enjoying that. We're back with you again tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. If you want to get in contact with us with anything that you'd like to talk about on the programme tomorrow, send us an email right now to dublintalks@98fm.com. dublintalks@98fm.com. Have a great Thursday. I'll be on the telly this afternoon at 4:30. More and I, if you're around. If not, we'll talk to you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Barry Dunn is on the way, and in the next hour, he's got some great music lined up, like these.
I'll be singing la 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 la. Things fall apart, but nothing breaks like a heart.
98 FM.